Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we're going to build a spaceport, and we're going to put a janky rocket on it. Reason being is we've finished with our Tier 3 research. We've even started getting ahead on our Tier 4, but you'll notice that we aren't going to be able to complete it until we do some orbital research, and that can only be conducted at an orbital microlab. And you'll notice on the orbital microlab, it specifically says this can only be built inside of a rocket. The other requirements is it takes 5 kilos of plastic per research point. That's not a big deal thanks to our glossy Drecos. And 60 watts of power. 60 watts of power is not going to be a problem either because our magical dupe wheel produces 400. Also in the background, I've been working on this setup. Remember, this is our Sulfur Geyser, and it comes out at 165 degrees, so we weren't able to get back in here until it went dormant. Well, now it's dormant. So what I'm doing is filling this room with a lot of water. We also reconfigured some of the radiant gas pipes here, brought the hydrogen down to 5 degrees, and what the intention of this radiant gas pipe is to keep all this water cool and hopefully be able to absorb the small amount of mass that comes out of the geyser when it erupts. Is it going to work? Yeah, I have no idea. But it's going to be fun seeing it, especially considering we're doing all this with just a thermoregulator. We did vacuum it out because worst comes to worst, all this water turns into steam, not a big deal. All of the machinery in here is made out of steel, so it doesn't really care about steam anyways. The reason why we're trying to make it cool though is because the auto sweeper puts it in this conveyor loader and then sends it back to our home planet. And we know that if you start dropping 120 degree sulfur into our beautiful grub fruit plants, they're going to start to get stifled. And we don't want any of that business. Also in the background, we've updated the farms a little bit and added some conveyor loaders and auto sweepers. That way, the dupes don't even need to transport the grub fruits. Grub fruits are automatically sent by rail straight into the deep freezer. So I'm going to keep working on this in the background. So on the positive note that we have plenty of time to work on it before we need to seal it up again. On the negative side though, it's going to take us a while to be able to test it out again. Now I have a block in here because I want to fill this up with about 900 kilos. And that way when we brick this in, it'll actually bring water up another tile. Now I don't want too much water in there because then the liquid sulfur geyser would basically be flooded, and I don't want that to happen. Now, I've been waiting to find a good pilot for a while, and I keep coming across pilots that are okay, and I think that's what ATA is. They have the +4 in piloting and the +6 in machinery. They're not great. I just gonna need somebody to transport dupes back and forth, and they'll do that. And in the off time, well, guess what they can do? They can run on wheels. We've also been adding the occasional dupe here and there whenever I see either a good runner or just a general all-around good dupe. And even at 29 dupes on this planetoid, our food supply is still skyrocketing. And it's because of the beautiful addition of the Farmer's Touch. Now I need to add more farmers because right now not all of these plants have been getting the Farmer's Touch. You can see this row, it seems like they have mostly. This one not so much though. Making sure, yes, it is still a greenhouse. Now we are running a bit low on sulfur. I'm not too worried about it because we have plenty of sulfur over on Takarini. If we need to, we can conveyor load it over here and then cool it down once it gets here. Speaking of which, you'll notice a small hodgepodge of duplicates. We have Travaldo, Stinky, Otto, and Meemaw all working inside the farm. We've even got other dupes. We have Ruby here who just joined the colony. She's going to be a primary farmer. But what I've done, for instance, in Ruby's case, is Ruby prioritizes farming, and then secondarily prioritizes ranching. And then all of our ranchers prioritize ranching, and then secondarily prioritize farming. But now it's time to build the spaceport. We kind of got unlucky with this sort of hilly terrain here. It means it's going to take a lot of tiles to flatten it out. I like a nice flat spaceport. But because of how high it is, I'm thinking that we build our space headquarters almost on the inside. Maybe we'll have a level or two below ground and then a level or two above ground. Because eventually we're going to need to put some rad bolt generation up here too. Alright, the first layer is done. It would have been a little bit quicker, except I made the first layer originally out of granite, and I've been trying to make it out of igneous rock, so I had to redo a portion of the first layer. Now on to layer number 2. What happened to the home planet? Looks like it's been chopped in half. We also built this ladder to go all the way up here. We wanted to see how high it is until this unbuildable zone. I have something else in store, and I wanted to make sure I had enough room for it. We finished adding the water and have sealed all of this up. Now we just have to wait the 55 cycles to see if this system works, as long as we don't continue to cut the power line. Oops. The silver lining of having so many cycles to go, though, is it's going to give this thermoregulator plenty of time to cool down this water. Right now it's at 31 degrees. We're going to try to bring it down to that 5C point. Alright, we're nearly finished with the second layer. Now I'm going to start working on actually moving this transport network over to the side that it's supposed to be on. Right now, all the duplicates have to come up over here, run across, and then run up. It's time that we put in the proper fire poles and ladder system anyways. So we studied our first fossil. It's actually the artifact that we found on our home planetoid. Unfortunately, it looks like they still have not fixed the whole terrestrial versus space artifacts thing, because we didn't get credit for terrestrial artifact. We only got credit for a space artifact. Unless I'm missing something, unless just some artifacts are listed as terrestrial, and it has nothing to do with the fact of whether or not they're found on a planetoid or if they're found in their star map as some of these unknown objects. I don't know, but I was really looking forward to completing cosmic archaeology. Next layer done, we're cooking with the speed of like a small Bic lighter. It only took me about halfway through this whole process to realize, you know what? Why don't we bring some igneous rock up to the surface? And that way they have more stuff to work with when they're up here, instead of having to go back and forth. Yeah, I wish I would have thought of that one 25 cycles ago. But not to fear, we still have plenty of construction to do over here. What's great too is we put it by the entrance here. This is the main transport spine, and this is going to be it for the rest of the playthrough. Eventually it'll go all the way to the bottom to the magma. We sealed in our previous ladder rung that went to the top, and now it's just sort of like our vent shaft. In fact, I think I have an even better idea. Meet the automatic vent shaft 3000. The automation's pretty simple. If there's oxygen in this tile, it shuts the door. If there's anything but oxygen in this tile, it sends a red signal to the NOT gate, which flips this to green, which opens the mechanized airlock and lets whatever junk it is escape. I wanted to point out how slow Lyra is building these. She's got to take a quick break to figure out what she's doing between every single thing she does. And that's on ×9 speed, which has me wondering what's eating up all the simulation power. Because we don't have too many critters. We haven't set up any infinite critter farms. My only guess is it's the massive battery box. I suppose it could also be the hodgepodge of gases still floating around. We're so close. This is it. This is the last little scoop we have to finish. Lyra's over there putting on the finishing touches for stage 1 of the spaceport. Yes, that's right. This is only stage 1. Because you know what every spaceport needs? An access tunnel. We're going to take one of these jobbies here and just go 2 tiles high and go right across. And then do the same thing over here. Our access tunnel also needs to be oxygenated. And that's why we have to put in a bunch of little pieces of drywall. Okay, this one's going to take them a minute. Perhaps we should do this one with a montage. Man, I love a good montage, but they can only go so long. In the meantime, I figured we'd talk about this little section here. Because we have a rocket platform here, we need to insulate and protect these materials a little bit better than we do the rest. Igneous rock has a melting point of 1409. We know what happens when igneous rock melts. It turns into beautiful, molten, hot magma. That is an undesirable attribute for our spaceport. But obsidian has a melting point of 2726.9. We have no worries about rockets going off here if the surrounding materials are made of obsidian. So why are we building an access tunnel in the first place? Well, you'll notice that it's 2 tiles high, perfect for our small little dupes, but also conveniently fits our beautiful large power transformer. Now, we'll be able to put a large power transformer anywhere we want in this access tunnel. While the dupes are finishing up the access tunnel, I figure it's about time to put our spaceport headquarters. Now, this headquarters, it changes shapes a lot, especially considering I'm thinking about using a Shinebug reactor to power radbolt generators that will then supply our radiation rockets. Because one additional thing that's happened in the past couple weeks as far as patches go is they added a radbolt joint plate. So now we can have radbolts in a room and then shoot them outside of the room. Who knows if that's going to work or not? But for now, we'll just put a basic 2-story building up here. Well, that ought to do nicely. You know what? What kind of spaceport headquarters would complete without a party line phone? We'll put one of those there. And while you're on the phone, you definitely need some flowers around you. And since we're at it, we might as well put a nice picture there too. Our beautiful headquarters is complete for now. It's got the nice little recreation room, complete with the party line. It isn't powered yet, but our access tunnel is currently getting all the power requirements, and it's coming straight off the main spine. We're boring all the way through here. We're going to make this connection here and then seal it right off. To do that, we'll just add some line there. Once they finish the line, which they can reach from here, we'll just put another heavy watt joint plate, say right here, and there we go. And now our power spine will be connected to our access tunnel. So no matter where we are on the spaceport, we'll have ready access to power. Because what's more important than Ren talking on the phone? I mean, let's be honest. Now the question is, why are you taking your Atmosuit helmet off? Shouldn't there be like a speaker port or something on the Atmosuit? Well, after a month of Sundays, our access tunnel, complete with power, is completed. Our spaceport is completed, our awesome space headquarters is completed, and an absolute fan favorite, we even have ONI's dinkiest rocket. Yes, this is the sugar engine. It doesn't go far, it doesn't go fast. You can't even put a lot of modules on it. But people, it takes sugar, and only 450 kilos of it. It also takes some fertilizer, which we're also currently loading up into it. It just so happened to be that we also have fertilizer production online. So it makes sense. Sugar and fertilizer. Who knew? But inside is the most ridiculous interior you've ever seen on a rocket. We've got the orbital micro lab to be able to knock out that research. We have paintings being put in of friends and family. That way our researcher / pilot doesn't miss home. We have the brand new wall toilet connected to a liquid input, and we'll get that loaded up before we launch as well. We got the refrigerator. We even have the party line phone. Perfect for every rocket. What's great is we still are getting the mess hall bonus and the barracks bonus. Unfortunately, the wall toilet does not count as a latrine or a washroom. They might change that because it just kind of makes sense that the wall toilet's also in the latrine. We're going to have some storage for some plastic, and we're also going to load up some oxalite. And the power? Well, just like everything else on this colony, it's being provided by a manual generator and a hamster, who just so happens to be doing all the research. But that's a pretty fair trade. You get a snazzy rocket like this, and all I'm asking you to do is do just a little bit of orbital research and run on the wheel. You can even call home and tell your friends. Still not much to see over on Takarini. Our liquid sulfur geyser is about 15.5 cycles away from going off. Unfortunately, the hydrogen is not doing real well when it comes to water. We may have to break down and use the steam turbine as a heat deletion device. But I am having fun trying to see what we can make happen with just thermoregulators. But that's about it for today's episode. I hope you had as fun watching it as I did making it, and I'll talk to you soon.